What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 4 of Girls Who Bet. I'm Erin Dolan, joined by the fabulous Liv Moods. Full disclosure, she had me put on a hoodie right before the show.
Because here's the deal. Today was one of those days I was like, I'm not dressing up. I'm feeling comfy, cozy. This girl has like this stunning dress on. I'm like,
Well,
okay,
you
we're on a
couldn't tell it
different.
was a dress.
Okay, well, you told me it was a dress. So she told me it was a dress. And I was like, meanwhile, I'm in leggings, a hoodie, and a hat. And I'm eating
Well,
a
now I'm
sucker
comfy.
on air. So,
Well,
we were
before
just
you
on
jumped
different.
on, me and Rob were talking. He said something like, "Oh, it's sweater weather," and I was telling him how I'm so claustrophobic that I can't wear sweaters because I feel so constricted. So, like when I go in the car and stuff, I have to take off my jackets and everything because I get actually claustrophobic.
Okay, you're weird. Low
Is
key, you're
that a
kind of
little
weird.
psychotic?
I mean, a little bit, but it's fine. It's fine. It is what it is.
It is.
Um, we had a pretty good well,
Mm,
I saw you had
close.
a very killer parlay with
I did.
very good odds. I hate to, be excited about your downfall. I was on the Rams, so I was excited about the reason your parlay didn't hit for my sake, but not excited for you that the parlay didn't hit and the Bucks ruined it. But other than that, how
Yeah.
were your bets
I
in week
mean,
3?
Saints hit, Vikings at home hit, Green Bay hit, Atlanta hit, and then Tampa Bay. I had some faith in them on the road, and clearly you were so right with the Rams. So I kind of deserved that. But a lot of those legs, they were all underdogs besides Tampa Bay. So I was like, if anything, it's going to be one of those. I actually expected Tampa Bay to win. So you hate to have, I love dogs. So I took all of these dogs, and the one that was favored didn't win.
Aaron,
So
it's like
learn my
that parlay
lesson.
I had where Green Bay, the
That
one
was
leg,
ridiculous. I felt
it's the
actually
same
so
thing.
bad.
It's the same thing. It's
Yours
like
was 7 leg, mine was 5 legs, so yours is actually a lot worse.
it was tough. But no, I mean, I was happy about the Rams. I also tweeted out at kind of at the last second that I liked Vikings money line. We were both on that.
Mhm.
I had the Bengals to cover. That was a huge hit. They
Yeah,
ended up winning
that was
outright
good.
by quite a bit. Who else did I have? I forget, but I that one total that I had was what killed me, the over in the Ravens-Lions game. I feel like every time
Mm.
I bet an over, it ends up being the lowest scoring game on the entire slate,
Yeah,
and I'm like, "Okay, that's it." So I'm actually taking a break from totals this week because it's what's
I don't
burned
blame
me
you.
almost every time. But yeah, I had Bengals. I had what was the other? I had one other dog to cover.
Yeah,
I
I
can't
feel
even
like it
remember now,
stinks when
but
you take an over and then it's so low scoring, but it's even worse if you are like hammer the under and then the game flies over. So I feel like nobody's going to judge you for taking it over. You were trying to
oh,
have an exciting game.
it was Chargers up against the
Oh,
Chiefs.
Chargers.
What a game that was. That was a good
Great
one. I
game.
had Chargers to cover also. So yeah, it was a pretty good week besides that one over or total. And then Monday night football for me was interesting because I stayed away from the spread and the total and just stuck to player props. Well, the player props play the offense for the Cowboys played out very differently than I thought it would.
Mhm.
I did not see the anytime touchdown scores. I was pretty off with that. Um, so yeah, the player props weren't great for me on Monday Night Football.
Monday Night Football was a disaster.
Yeah,
I don't even want the video to surface of the same game parlay that I gave out because the Eagles were absolutely smashed in that
it
game, which
was
we will
yeah,
eventually get to in this show
we'll
because
get to that.
it was hard to watch. But there
It was
are
tough.
still some undefeated teams standing. We have the Panthers, Cardinals, Rams, Raiders, and Broncos. So, Liv, is there any in particular that you see being able in Week 4 to stay undefeated? I know the Cardinals and Rams are going to play each other, so one of those
Right.
teams definitely will remain undefeated. But I guess for the Panthers, Raiders, and Broncos, any stand out?
I kind of texted you about the Panthers and kind of liking them a little bit, but man,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of those head versus heart games where I want the Cowboys to not win, but they did look pretty good, and they're going to be back at home, so it's really hard for me to believe that they're going to get beat by this Panthers team. Panthers defense has looked strong; that's definitely in their
Mm-hmm.
corner there, but that one makes me nervous. I mean, as unbiased as I can possibly be, I'm riding with the Broncos to be the undefeated team left standing. They take on the Ravens this weekend, obviously, in a pick 'em. And I know that there's a lot of controversy around this team right now in terms of, yes, they're 3-0, but they've played horrible teams. Their
Mm-hmm.
opponents combined are 0 for 9 right now. So I get it. They haven't played a strong team yet. But the argument that everyone's saying with this Ravens team, this Ravens team has had a bottom 3 pass defense for the first 3 weeks of the season. So I don't really think they're going to pose a lot of problems for Teddy Bridgewater. And I have thought that Teddy has looked good. Again, I know he hasn't played super strong teams,
Hmm.
but they're playing the Ravens this week. Really, really bad pass defense. So I don't think Teddy Bridgewater has any issues. He currently has a 76.8% completion rate, tied for the best in the NFL, 0 interceptions, the fewest in the NFL, and the 5th best QB rating. So that plus a strong defense from the Broncos, I definitely think that they can get a win in the Mile High Stadium this week. And then after that, their next game is the Steelers. And I'm not worried about the Steelers right
Yeah,
now because
nobody's
they're
worried
a
about the
freaking
Steelers.
disaster. So that being said, just looking at their next 2 games, I think that the Broncos could win these next 2. Again, I think the Ravens is
Hmm.
going to be their toughest matchup that they've had so far, but with that bad pass defense, I don't know how many problems this Ravens team is going to really give the Broncos besides being able to score more than any of their other opponents. So,
Yeah.
but again, they've got tough defense. So maybe I'm biased, maybe I'm thinking into it weird, but I do think that the
No, I don't
Broncos,
think you are. I think you're more in your head thinking that you're thinking about it in too much of a biased way when you're really
I
not.
know.
Because I agree with you that I think the Broncos can remain undefeated. I understand totally the point with the Panthers too. I think the Panthers obviously can cover in this game. I just have a feeling with Dallas that they actually might win again at home. And then with the Raiders, that's going to be a Monday Night Football matchup against the Chargers. I do like the Chargers in that one. So I'm going to stick with you in this regard in terms of the Broncos. But should we kind of make a pick maybe for Arizona versus the Rams? I personally like the Rams in this spot. I don't think Arizona is going to win on the road, but I think you believe Cardinals are going to cover, right?
yeah, kind of like the Cardinals to cover here. This is one that I haven't really looked at too much in depth quite yet, but I could see
Hmm.
a Cardinals upset this week. I mean, this is truly, in my opinion, because I have been saying this for the past week that I think the Cardinals have should be more favored in this division than the 49ers for whatever reason. I haven't bought into the 49ers yet. I just haven't, and that's just me being honest. And I think this Cardinals team is really strong on both sides of the ball. They've got a really strong front seven. Kyler Murray has shown that he can do a little bit of both. He can run the ball, he can pass the ball. That
Hmm.
becomes really hard to defend because he can do a little bit of everything. Um so I'm just riding hot on this Cardinals team, and maybe that's affecting how I'm handicapping this Rams Cardinals game.
Yeah.
But I do think that the Cardinals are capable of covering. Um, so I'm gonna ride with the Cardinals against the spread
Okay.
for now. But I may eat my words in a couple days. Who knows?
Well,
But
we're
for
going to
now,
get
that's what I
into
like.
our week 4 picks a little bit later in the show and also talk about that division. But now we have to talk about some of the worst teams so far. These teams are winless: the Jets, the Colts, the Jags, the New York Giants, and the Lions. So who do we think is actually going to be able to win? I think Tennessee will beat the Jets easily. I think the Jags won't beat Cincy, could potentially cover. No shot in my eyes, the Giants beating the Saints. So that leaves us with Indy versus the Dolphins, Detroit then versus Chicago. Now, these two are both dogs, no surprise, but we have to go back to Carson Wentz and just how brutal he is. I know a lot of people during the game, especially commentators, are like, oh my gosh, look at that pass, look at that pass. 3-11-1 since the start of last season with 19 passing touchdowns, 21 turnovers, which is the most in the NFL, 58 sacks, which is also the most in the NFL. I understand this is not all his fault. A lot of this has to do with the Eagles as well, but this is a must-win game for the Colts. Seriously, I really do think this is a must-win for them. So for that reason, I'm going to say that they are able to pull off a win in week 4.
I like it. I actually had a show with Alex Monaco yesterday, and he is riding with the Colts to cover the spread. So I like it. I think it's a great bet. I'm looking more at the Lions to secure their first win this Sunday. I'm going to tell you something. I don't ever wake up on a Sunday morning and go, you know what? I really want to watch the Detroit Lions today.
I don't think anybody does.
I've never said it, and I never will. So I haven't paid a ton of attention to this Lions team because I just don't care. However, my very simple answer looking at this game is that I'm going to ride with the veteran QB here in Jared Goff.
Okay.
This Bears team has the worst passing offense right now, so I like
Hmm.
Goff to get more points on the board. If the Bears rely on their run game, I think that the Lions can get enough stops to stay ahead and get a W in this one. So I'm I'm gonna go with the Lions up against the
Yeah.
Bears.
And I think this
What are
game's
your
going to be one
thoughts
of the
on
most bet on just because so many people are talking about Matt Nagy, how terrible last game was with Justin Fields starting. He was sacked 9 times. That poor
the
man.
guy? He's probably sore.
Could you imagine? I know
No,
someone did a skit about that.
he's got to be
But yeah,
sore
he
for
has to
sure.
be. And then so we kind of went over the undefeated teams. Then we did the winless teams. There's also 4 NFL teams, which this is important in terms of betting, that are winless against the spread. So the Chiefs, the Jets, the Jags, and the Washington football team. So We kind of talked about this before on the show, I believe, with the Chiefs. Everyone kind of rides high, loves to put them in the money line parlays and things like that just to add as another leg. But if you bet them straight up against the spread, they're actually pretty awful.
Horrible. And that was literally exactly what I said last week when I was betting on the Chargers, and people were like, "No, the Chiefs are at home. That's stupid." This team is horrible against the spread, and they
So
were not
bad.
great last year either. So I
Mm-mm.
mean, I'm kind of in the position where I'm like, I'm gonna keep fading this team against the spread until they give me a reason to believe otherwise, because
Mm-hmm.
it's easy money at this point. Every time I have bet against the spread with the Chiefs, I have, or like against them, I have won money. So I I don't know. Until they prove me otherwise, I think
Yeah.
that they are one of the worst against the spread, and maybe it's because of the overhype. I have a few opinions right now on some overhype situations with the Chiefs. More importantly, Patrick Mahomes, but I'll save it until you're done talking about the rest of the teams. Um, but yeah, no, I would keep fading the Chiefs in my opinion, because
Yeah.
the stats show it's a very consistent way to win money is to fade them against the spread.
Yeah, 1-5 against the spread in their last 6 games, following an against the spread loss, and as a road favorite, and on the road just in general. Chiefs are also 2-12 against the spread in their last 14 games overall. They will be playing the Philadelphia Eagles right now. They are 7-point favorites, and this game will be in Philly. But another stat that I thought was kind of interesting is that rookie QBs are 0-9 against the spread in 9 games versus non-rookie quarterbacks. So maybe we can factor in there the Jets and the Jags, but that was really staggering. 0-9. They can't even cover. I mean, they're not winning really, but they just can't cover either. It's
Yeah,
terrible to
that's
see.
tough. Yeah, that's tough. No love for the rookie QBs, man. No love. I mean, wow,
No
that's gotta
love
be a tough
whatsoever.
spot. That's gotta be a tough spot to be in. But I think that does show that kind of goes to my point with the Lions here. In this situation, I'm taking the veteran QB. I mean, if you're
Hmm.
looking at a game and you don't know which side to go off of, that stat is perfect. That the QB rookies are 0-9 against the spread in the last 9. The Lions are taking on the Bears, where Justin Fields clearly has some work to do and the
Oh,
coaching is
you
lacking as
think?
well. So Jared Goff, as bad as the Detroit Lions are, this is definitely the best position that the Lions have been in to
Yeah.
get their first win, in my opinion. So
So
yeah.
since we kind of touched on the Chiefs being winless against the spread and everything, they are still the favorites right now to win the Super Bowl, plus 600 on the FanDuel Sportsbook. Bucs are close behind, plus 650. Rams plus 850 moving down. Same thing with the Bills, they're at plus 950. Everybody else is 12-1 and greater, with the Packers being 12-1. Liv and I had said we like the Green Bay Packers preseason at 12-1, so not seeing much movement there. But I'm not going to lie, the Rams, people were talking about this. I believe they were 16-1 preseason, and Lisa Kearney had brought that up at the Fan Fest on stage, and they are looking pretty good.
Yeah, yeah, they definitely are. And let's talk about that Chiefs team being number 1 still. Why?
I know. I was thinking the same
What's
thing. That
happening
and
right now?
number one in their division as well, even though they are
Why?
last.
Why? And here's okay, so now I have a chance to kind of talk about this a little bit, okay? Yesterday on the show with Alex Monaco, we every week we do a rant of the week. My rant this week was, I feel like there is a double standard with Patrick Mahomes versus any other QB in the league. Okay.
Okay.
The reason I'm saying this is, for whatever reason, if I tweet out into the universe, oh my God, Patrick Mahomes is not playing like normal Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is making rookie mistakes. All of a sudden, it's everyone else's fault. It's the offense's fault. It's the O line's fault. I understand it's a team effort, but in the Ravens game, when he's going down and he throws the football like a hacky sack, that is nobody else's fault. He threw an interception. He let go of the ball when he shouldn't have let go of the ball. He tossed it in the air when he was going down. He should have kept the ball. For whatever reason, I don't know what it is. I mean, he makes a mistake, it's everyone else's problem.
Hmm.
Any other QB, Kirk Cousins, Jalen Hurts is another great example. They make a mistake, it's their fault. They're a bad QB. They shouldn't be, they're not a franchise QB. They don't have the
Hmm.
potential, yada, yada, yada. Patrick Mahomes has had 3 interceptions in the past 2 games. That's very out of Patrick Mahomes' normal
I
behavior.
agree with you.
Yet it's still, the conversation is always, it's not his fault. Then whose fault is it? I mean, you can't I don't know. It's been kind of irritating me because I've seen it everywhere. It's like Patrick Mahomes throws 2 interceptions in 1 game and no one is saying anything about his poor performance. It's all the rest of the team didn't do their job.
Hmm.
Screw that. I'm
That's
sorry.
usually, I feel like, what they do. And people are always going to be talking about the Chiefs anyways after winning the Super Bowl and then last year making it to the Super Bowl. The Bucs obviously up there returning all their starters. I just don't see the Chiefs being able to even go to the Super Bowl for the third straight year, I just don't see it
No.
happening. Eventually, at some point, dynasties start, seeing some negative regression there. So I'm not really surprised by that, but I am a tiny bit surprised that they are still favored to win the AFC West again. Granted that they are at the bottom. Denver Broncos behind plus 340, the Chargers plus 390, Raiders plus 550. Do you think that the Chiefs have any shot at just winning the division, even though they're still at minus money?
I don't know.
I
Yeah,
kind of feel like the Broncos plus 340 is still good value. I think the Raiders won't do it. I know you agree with me on that. You're not sold on Derek Carr, although he is great in fantasy.
yeah, it, like you kind of alluded to it. It's hard for me to root for the Chiefs right now based on their last few games, but again, based off of how much they're loved, I'm not surprised that they're still in the lead. The
Mhm.
Broncos are my team, so it's hard for me to make a call on them until I see them maybe play at least one good team.
Mhm.
They do, however, have the second easiest schedule, and they have a QB that's been playing pretty well. I think strength of schedule starts to become really important when you're looking at these divisions because
Mhm. Agreed.
as it progresses, these rookie QBs that are maybe playing really great in the beginning finally get to see some really tough matchups, and all of a sudden they're not playing so great. So the fact that the Broncos have the second easiest schedule this year, definitely, I think there's great value in their number for sure. I'm not bought
Mhm.
into the Raiders. I don't know what kind of voodoo magic is going on with the silver and black right now. It creeps me out,
It's the
truly.
new stadium. It's Legion Stadium.
Holly
They're all riled
Halloween
up.
came early. There's some creepy, like, voodoo stuff happening with the Raiders because yes, I am a Broncos fan, so maybe that's where this is coming from, but I'm not bought into this Raiders team. I can't tell if
Yeah.
they've got some weird magic happening in Allegiant Stadium, but they're actually a horrible team. I don't know. I don't care to know. So I'm not bought into them. I think that there's some value in the Chargers. I think Herbert has been playing
Okay.
really great. I think he could continue to move this team in the right direction. The only thing I worry about, and I said it 2 seconds ago, is that as this Chargers schedule gets a little tougher and tougher, I think that's when you really start to see the potential of these rookies and how they can hold down their team. So far, I like Herbert, so I think that there's also great value there at plus 390. That could be a good number to sprinkle a little lunch money on. But the
Mhm.
Raiders, stay put. I'm sick of you. I don't know what's going
Why?
on
What is it wrong with you and the Raiders? I want to
well
go to a Raiders game so bad.
well, first of all, they're like one of the Broncos' biggest rivals, and it's been
Yeah,
that way
well,
for a very long
obviously, yeah.
time. So I think a lot of it is
Doesn't
just
help.
emotion mostly. But I don't know. I don't understand what's happening. Like
It's a
over
tough
400
division.
passing yards up against a Rave. Derek Carr? Derek Carr. Who are you, Derek Carr? I mean, I'm like weirded out.
I
And
mean, his
maybe
passing
I just
yards are
need
off the
to get
chart.
on board. Yeah, and I think for me it's just more than anything it's shocking.
Mhm.
So I think it's not necessarily that I'm like they're not as good as people think. I just don't think
Yeah.
I've let my brain register that they're actually a good team, if that makes sense. So I haven't bought into it yet. And maybe I need to just get on board and shut my mouth. And you know what? That might very well be true. But for now, I'm just
Yeah.
gonna keep thinking that there's weird stuff happening over there,
And
honestly.
speaking of records and things of strength of schedule, record by division, NFC West and AFC West, they're both 9-3. They lead the league. Behind them is the NFC South 8-4, and then the AFC North, which is also pretty competitive, 7-5. But right now, going down the FanDuel Sportsbook in the AFC East, Bills minus 300. They're pretty far out. Ravens and Browns are close. Ravens are plus 110. Browns are plus 120. Tennessee Titans, they're heavily favored, minus 380. Kansas City Chiefs, we just talked about their favorite in the division. Cowboys move out to minus 185 after that Monday Night Football win. Green Bay Packers, heavy favorites, minus 490. The Bucs minus 230. So that brings us to the NFC West. You have the Rams plus 115, 49ers plus 250, Cardinals plus 350, Seattle Seahawks plus 700. Now, this is going to be one of the toughest divisions. They also have the
So
closest
hard.
odds out of anybody right now on the FanDuel Sportsbook. But for the 49ers, I have to argue that they do have the easiest strength of schedule if you do
They
read
do.
the Warren Sharp book in this division. Meanwhile, the Rams, they're playing honestly great, and everyone expected them to do that. That is what the expectation was. So there's obviously value on any of these teams right now, plus money. I'm kind of out on the Seahawks. I don't really like what I'm seeing from them. A lot of people arguing that the Cardinals would be great value, but if you got them preseason at plus 900, I feel like that would have been better value than it is right now. I know the Rams are one game up on the 49ers, and then their weeks 6 through 8 are pretty easy: Lions, Giants, and Texans. But then they get a tough tough schedule. So this is a really, I feel like, hard division to handicap week 4.
It absolutely is. And so for me, if I had to go with a bet right now, I would take the Rams. I think Stafford has been by far the most consistent
Mhm.
QB that we've seen in this division. 77% completion rate, 9 touchdowns, only 1 interception.
Awesome in fantasy.
He looks really great, and when you're looking at these teams again as these schedules progress, it is only week 4. A lot can happen from
Mhm.
now until,
And injuries.
injuries are a huge
COVID.
thing. So for me, right, COVID's another one. So for me, I'm just going to look at consistency, and I would say right now that Stafford has shown the most consistency. I thankfully got the Cardinals at plus 500.
Oh, nice.
I think it was after week 2. I grabbed them at plus
Okay.
500 to win the division. I only put $25 down, so nothing crazy, but I did sprinkle a little bit on that just because I've been riding hot with the
Yeah.
Cardinals since the beginning. I don't know
Well,
what it is. I just really love them. I think I really love Kyler Murray as well. Um, so I don't know. And again, I don't know what it is about this 49ers team, but
yeah, you've
I'm
not
not
been sold on them. I
I'm
see with
not
Trey
sold
Lance
yet.
being able to step in, I'm kind of sold on the 49ers a little bit more
And
so.
you know what? And I'm totally again, I'm not saying that they're bad, but I think what it is for me, I'm not really sold on any of these teams quite yet just because this division is so hard. Like this division is so hard. So for me, I don't really want to be bought into any team. Like how I
Mhm.
feel about this division
I mean, it
changes
is
week
too
to
early.
week.
Let's be honest. It's
It's
week 4.
crazy.
We're too
Yeah.
early.
Right.
We
Right.
too early to be giving out all these crazy futures.
Right. So I think the 49ers are a very strong, very talented team. Having 2 QBs, being able to toss Trey Lance in there in the red zone to run
Mhm.
it into the end zone is awesome. I, I don't know. This division's hard. I think it's definitely the hardest one to handicap. It's the hardest one for the futures market. It's just tough all around. So
Yeah.
time will tell. That's all I got to say about that. Time
Let's
will
get a
tell.
little bit into the comments. Joseph Gomez on YouTube saying Raiders equals Cowboys for Erin. Yes, that is true. Anytime you have a division rival, you got to play into it. So he was also asking, can the Broncos QB stay healthy all year?
That's a fingers crossed type of
Yeah,
moment right there,
I
my
can't
friend.
really, that's really not a question that I can answer, but we should give away some insight credit. $25 insight credit. We'll give it to somebody in the comments on Twitch. I know Liv is on there.
Yeah,
So let's,
I'm hold up, guys. Full transparency here. I'm having a hard time getting these Twitch comments up. I'm just being real with you for a minute. Maybe it's me.
some of them I'm seeing
Okay.
come through on the feed.
I just don't know what's going on right now. I can't I don't know if I can maybe it's me. You guys just don't stress about it. I'm just, I'll figure it out. It is what it
I'll
is.
give it to Billy, who just said Aaron Rodgers is a bad man. Me and Liv are fans of Aaron Rodgers. So we'll give you $25 insight credit if you
Boom.
drop your username.
Boom. Love it. Um yeah,
Okay,
okay,
well,
I'm
someone just
seeing
asked, what
anything.
is your betting strategy, diversity, medium bets? We will talk about this in our next segment right now, which is kind of a little bit more educational than some of our other segments. It's handle versus bet count. So somebody online kept trying to get me to explain to them about a tweet that I put out for Monday Night Football. I said 73% of the money is on Philly money line, 84% is on Dallas to cover minus 3.5, 57% of the money is on the over. So this person had tweeted at me, how can the percentage of money be far greater than 100%? You can't have 73% of the money on Philly if 84% is on the other side. So based on action reports that we get from the FanDuel Sportsbook, which we're going to throw up on a graphic, I will explain this, but when I'm talking about this, you have to think about it in segments. So I'm talking about money line, I'm talking about the spread, and then at the bottom, I'm thinking in terms of total. So that's why I thought it was kind of self-explanatory that if I say 73% of the money is on Philly money line, you'd understand that 27% was obviously on Dallas. I'm just trying to kind of tell you exactly what I mean by that. So if we can throw up that action report, Rob, just so we can kind of quickly go through it. One important thing to note when you're looking at things is handle means money. So that's what we're going to use for that. And then bet count is how many bets are placed on the book. So for every game, we're going to get what's on the screen right now from the FanDuel Sportsbook. For example, this is Monday Night Football. The reason that you're seeing the Eagles being 73% on the money line, and then if you go to the Cowboys minus 3.5, you see that it's 84%. Eagles are really big fan base for FanDuel because Philadelphia and the state of PA, honestly, and then as well as New Jersey is probably going to bet on them to win outright just because they were playing the Cowboys. So that's why there's a big discrepancy there. But this is basically what you see of how to break things down. And I know Liv, for example, sometimes will look at these numbers and then we'll quote unquote bet against the public. So Liv, when do you think that's a good idea when looking at numbers?
I don't know if people want to know my answer. Lately, I would say
It's case by case. It's not
it's
always.
very case by case, like very, very, very. I would say I typically start to look at public money a little bit when the spread gets a little bit bigger. If the spread is smaller, Vegas is on the same page with us, and they're like,
Mhm.
it's going to be a close one. When the spread starts getting bigger and bigger, and there's like the assumption that the Chiefs are going to cover a spread because the Chiefs are so much better than this Chargers team. Okay, now I'm going to start thinking about where this public money is because
Mhm.
obviously the Chiefs are a public favorite. They typically are one of the public's favorite teams to bet on along with the Dallas Cowboys. So in situations, and I'm talking off of a Monday night football game where like this is debunking every theory because the Cowboys absolutely rocked the Eagles. We're not going to get into that though because what a tough night. But either way, the public definitely gets put into consideration. I also look at the public money when I'm thinking about an underdog. If
Mhm.
I've already felt like this underdog has a chance to win or keep the game close, and then I see that the public is super heavy on the favorite, I'm like, okay, keep ride with your gut. If you like this team and the public is heavy on the other side, Vegas doesn't like to lose, and you already
Mhm.
like this underdog, take them with the points. So that's
Yep.
kind of how I felt lately. Um, and I know I've posted some things about the Patriots Bucs game, but we won't get into that yet because I'm not
Yeah.
ready to get ripped to shreds. I know you guys are going to put me through a paper shredder once I start
No,
talking.
no, no, no. We're not gonna
But
let that happen.
yeah, no, I definitely look at the public money,
Mhm.
especially with underdogs. If I'm already liking an
Mhm.
underdog, just looking right at the slate, and then I see that the public is heavy on the favorite, I definitely like to consider taking the underdog with the points.
Yeah, and it can be effective to look at public money, but at the same time, you have to remember a lot of these lines are a lot sharper than they were in years past. So it's important to really handicap it kind of on your own and then decide when it's right to fade the public or not. Don't just blindly go on here and be like, oh, everybody's on this side, so I'm going to bet against it. Or actually, I'm going to agree with everyone because that's what everyone is saying. So kind of just at your own pace with this kind of stuff. When I put this out in tweets, I just wanted you guys to see an actual graph of what it looks like that I'm receiving and what I'm putting out that I think is pertinent. But Liv, let's give some people again another $25 insight credit before we get into the return at Gillette Stadium.
Yeah. Well,
Got
first
anything good on Twitch?
I want to answer this question from Danny Baseballs. He said, "What's up with the WVU helmet in the back? My mom's side of the family is from West Virginia, and my brother is finishing up his senior year as a Mountaineer. So I'm actually headed there this weekend to go
Oh,
to a West
nice. I'm going
Virginia
to Penn
football
State
game.
Monday.
Yes, so I'm going to a West Virginia football game. If you guys
Nice.
know West Virginia, they know how to throw down because they have no professional football team. So everyone in the state of West Virginia rallies around the Mountaineers and they know how to tailgate, they know how to
All
party,
I hear is
how to
Country
celebrate.
Road playing in my head when I
It's
think of
so
West
great. Like
Virginia.
and I've only ever been able to go to a game with my brother last year, and that was with COVID, so there was nobody
Oh, it's
there.
probably so different now.
Yeah, because I was a dancer at TCU, so I had to dance at all of TCU's games. I couldn't really miss those. So I'm
Yeah.
very excited to go to West Virginia. But yes, that is why you see the West Virginia. Again, I'm a TCU Horned Frog at heart. So there's a little rivalry going on right here. But mom's side of the family's from there, and my brother goes there. So shout out to WVU. I
Yeah,
love it.
sometimes I feel bad. I rock my Oregon gear so much more than I rock my Penn State stuff. So I need to get some stuff up there on Monday. I'll also be visiting my brother and talking to some Penn Staters. But let's get into our next topic. Brady returning to Foxborough. I mean, this is the biggest game. Everybody's talking about it. Tom Brady homecoming. It's 6 rings in 20 years before getting his 7th ring with the Bucs. We had to talk about kind of Tom Brady's identity was so intertwined with the Patriots and, being in Gillette Stadium. It has to feel kind of odd. I mean, I know he's talked about it that he knows basically every part of that stadium and what Bill Belichick is going to want to do. I just think this would have been such a different situation, let's say, if Cam Newton wasn't cut and he was playing against someone maybe of better caliber than Mac Jones. I personally think, I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout. They're going to win by 3 touchdowns. I think they could cover the spread. And I know you have reasons for why you think, in fact, that the Patriots could be able to cover in this one. It's just, I feel like this game is also so talked about and so bet on because that's all everyone, honestly, on my entire timeline, regardless if it's Twitter, Instagram, is talking about this, that the line's going to be so sharp that you have to go towards player props.
Yeah, so agree with you on that for sure. I think player props are the move in terms of finding some value. Let me give my 2 cents on this game really quick. I have had some pretty good success lately taking underdogs to cover the spread. When I'm looking at this matchup, I'm going, okay, yes, Tom Brady is headed back to Foxborough. He's playing up against a franchise that he was a part of for 20 seasons, had the most successful dynasty in American football. 6 Super Bowl championships, 9 Super Bowl appearances. I mean, he did everything he needed to do with this
Yeah.
team. He's walking into the stadium with a chip on his shoulder. Absolutely. Not to mention, he's 67 passing yards behind Drew Brees for an all time NFL record. So he's going to go off. We know this. However, there is a little piece of me on the back of my brain, on the back burner. There's a little voice in my head going, this is being set up so perfectly. He's making his return back to his old franchise, playing against his old coach. He's trying to break a record. The automatic go-to assumption is the Bucs are going to wipe the floor with the New England
Mm-hmm.
Patriots. That is the go-to. Again, that's how I felt at first. I was like, "Oh, he's breaking a record. He's going ballistic." I do still think he has a great game. However, this Bucs team has proven that they can be beat. They went up against a Rams team who in my opinion has an average defense. And they
Yeah, but the
lost.
Rams aren't the Patriots. They're good.
They are good, but their defense is average. The Patriots passing defense ranks number 5 right now. So in my brain, I'm looking at this Bucks team going, okay, 86% of their yards per game are passing yards. The Patriots in the first 3 games of the season, now if you think that they haven't had tough teams to play against, fine, that's anyone's opinion and it's fair. However, they haven't allowed a ton of passing yards per game. Their pass defense has been pretty strong, so much so that they're ranked in the top 5. So there's a part of me that's like, okay, I don't think this Patriots team is going to beat the Bucks. I hope nobody misquotes me on that. I don't think this Patriots team is going to win. However, one thing that I know for certainty is that Vegas does not like to lose. There is going to be at least 95% of the public betting on the Bucks
Oh,
spread. I can almost
absolutely.
guarantee it.
Yeah, I mean that line keeps
So
coming up. It opened -3.5 in June. It's
so in
already
my
up to 7.
so I'm seeing this game play out and I'm going, okay, by Saturday this line is going to be up from where it
Mhm.
is now. And the assumption is going to be Tom Brady is going to win by 2 touchdowns or more. It's going to be electric. There's just a little part of me, a little voice in my head that's saying Vegas does not like to lose. This game has all these different narratives around it that are making it perfect to have the public just go in on the Bucks like heavy. There's a little part of me that's like this Patriots team could slow down the Bucks. I'm not saying they could win because offensively the Patriots can't hang with the Bucks, but if their pass defense has been strong for 3 straight weeks and 86% of the yards per game for the Bucks are passing yards, they could slow down this Bucks team. So much so that they could keep it close. And all I'm saying is the Patriots could cover the spread because I just can't see Vegas losing that much money in one game. I just can't see it.
Got it.
So that's me with the little voice in my head. Again, I'm not saying that I'm taking Patriots money line. I haven't even put money on Patriots spread yet. But there's a little voice and I have to acknowledge it and I'm speaking out loud. I'm sharing my thoughts and that's how I feel about the game. So,
Yeah,
I
I
do
expect
think there's
that line to keep
potential.
coming up.
Oh,
That's just gonna it's
absolutely.
gonna close probably, I would assume, 8, 8.5. And I don't want to take it at -7 just because why take that when it could be a push? I liked it -6.5. The line kept moving up after the Cam Newton news because again, this line was posted in June, which is pretty crazy. It was -3.5. Keeps being bet up. I just personally think Brady has a chip on his shoulder, and so does Bill Belichick, especially with all the narratives right now that are going around. I know a lot of people are talking about a new book that just came out. It's Better to Be Feared, the New England Patriots Dynasty and the Pursuit of Greatness. And I know I'm going to butcher this last name, Seth Wickersham. He was an ESPN reporter. There was a lot of excerpts in there, some about, at the end of the relationship between Bill and Tom Brady. It ended in a phone call when Tom Brady wanted to meet with him in person. Then I watched today that Bill Belichick had come out and said that's not the truth. So who knows what the real truth is between the two at this point? Obviously, amazing coach,
For
amazing
sure.
quarterback. I don't really think anybody's to blame in this. It's just Tom Brady went on the next year and won a Super Bowl. He was able to get all the pieces around him, maybe probably take a pay cut in regard to some of that. And he did that with the New England Patriots as well. I just think Bill doesn't have the pieces that Tom Brady has to win this game and prove that he's the best, that it's Bill Belichick versus him. I think at this point, just given he has a rookie quarterback, you can't
No,
really equate it.
absolutely. And again, I don't want anyone to think that I'm saying that I am hammering Patriots plus 6.5
Mhm.
or I'm hammering Patriots money line. I'm just saying there is a part of me that is thinking that way because let's be real. If you're a real gambler, you understand what's happening when I say this. Anything can happen, people. Let's not get it twisted, okay? Gambling is a biatch, okay? And let's not act like this isn't that there's not a chance that some weird crap could happen and we could all be out our life savings. All I'm saying, I'm
Yeah,
just
on
playing
like a
devil's
field goal at
advocate.
the end.
I'm
Like
just
Bucks
playing
will
devil's
win and
advocate. Right. So that's all I'm doing. But either way, it's going to be an exciting game. I think that's the
I'm
game I'm
hyped
the
for
most
it.
excited about just because
Yeah.
there's so much going on with it. You've got Brady trying to
Nobody's
break the
talking
record.
about the other games.
No, it's the
Nobody
other
cares.
games
And
honestly
it's
are not
week
even being talked about, which I'm again, like I said, there's so many narratives around this game that it just makes it exciting and it hasn't even started yet. So nonetheless,
Yeah.
it's going to be a great game and I'm pumped to watch it. So
Nick Malachis said, Erin, let's all bet on Brady to Gronk first touchdown. Let's put 500 on it. So I love Gronk anytime touchdown score plus 135. I'm going to be honest, I don't usually bet first touchdown score. Sometimes I'll bet the first basket score in the NBA just for fun if I'm bored on a random night, but it's really hard to hit first touchdown pass.
it is.
But I think Gronk will absolutely have a touchdown in this game. It just has to happen. It just would be so wrong if he didn't. I feel like some play is going to be designed to make sure he has one.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Billy's saying this is going to be similar to when Peyton Manning went back to Indy. Joseph Gomez saying Patriots wasted 2 to 3 years of his career when they didn't sign anyone and he took a pay cut.
Listen, on the Twitch comments, I gotta say, none of you agree with me, but at least you're respectful about it, and I respect that. I really do.
And
That's the
also,
thing. That's
oh
also
shoot, I
okay.
just
I'm
lost all
sorry.
the comments. How do I get the? Oh, here we go.
This is
Show.
something that I like. This is just a PSA to everybody out there. You don't have to agree with my bets, my takes, my beliefs, my opinions.
Preach.
You don't need to be an a-hole about it. You just simply don't. All you have to do is say, hey, nice, Liv, but you're so wrong. Brady's winning by 2+ touchdowns. But
That's
let's
great.
move
Then
on
you
with
go
our
place
day.
the money and you
That's
go put
it.
out the video and you go put out the tweet
But
and
when
you
people
go.
start getting nasty about it, like, damn, I'm sorry.
I will say
Jeez.
that week I feel like the heat online was really week 1 and 2 and people are kind of like settling in realizing, "Oh my gosh, I'm actually not that great of a bettor either." So it kind of all
Oh,
settles in
hey,
for
I
everyone.
roasted her last week for losing, and I lost a lot this week. Oh, you don't say, Mr. Know-It-All.
Yeah,
Jesus.
like the point is that what is it, 52 point something percent to be even considered like a handicapper? It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy. But like to Liv's point though about Vegas always wins, Vegas knows something. That is not a joke.
It's not a freaking
Like
joke, you
we're
guys.
not like
It's not a
making
freaking
something out
joke.
of oh, Joseph Gomez saying Gronk might not play. I did not see reports on that. So
Yes, reminder to the Twitch people, we've got some FanDuel credits to hand out.
get
So
out one, Liv. Go for it. Go right
drop
now.
your FanDuel Sportsbook usernames in here.
People are liking it, so let's go
And
for it.
let's see what we've got. I'm gonna find a comment that I like. Let's see here. You know what? J Torres 184. He said, "Nah, you bugging," when I was talking about the Patriots covering the spread. But every comment you put in here was respectful. And then you said, "Liv, we're in good standing." So I'm gonna toss it to J Torres
All right.
184 for the FanDuel credit. Drop your username in here, and FanDuel will hook you up, my friend.
All
Holler,
right.
holler, holler.
Love it.
I love it.
All
Okay.
right. Now the one thing we like have to talk about because last week we had on Ariel Epstein. We kind of brought this up at the end. We didn't really get to. We were voicing our opinions because you were almost red in the face. I was red in the face. We were both so angry, and this is still an ongoing discussion. So Ben Simmons has concluded that he's done playing with Joel Embiid. Sources tell this to The Athletic. While it's not personal, Simmons believes that playing around Embiid's style isn't conducive to the way he needs to play. Where do we start?
Here he,
Let me
here
clear
he.
my throat.
Okay. All right.
Ben Simmons, if you were tuned in to Girls Who Bet, boy, oh boy, you don't show
Shame
up to
on you.
media day. Then there's reports over the weekend that the players wanted to fly out and see you. You didn't want to see anybody. You made up your mind. But the problem here lies in the fact that you're running from the city of Philadelphia. That's essentially what you're doing because you're scared of the fans. I really think
Grow
this
a
has
pair.
nothing to do with Joel
Grow
Embiid.
a
And if
pair.
you think you can go to another team and be that man after running from the city of Philadelphia, there's so many addresses I want to use, but I have to keep my career in check. I just don't like it. every day you see a new report that you're like, Ben Simmons, dig yourself further into the hole, buddy. Like, I don't even know what you're fighting for at this point. Obviously, you're trying to force a trade, and I know your agent's trying to do the same, but at this rate, you're just putting your foot in your mouth.
So let me touch on that agent thing really quick. Let me read you guys a headline really quick, okay? Report. Ben Simmons, clutch wants a trade to a team that can build around him on offense. So help me God,
The man
Ben
cannot shoot the ball, and
Ben
you want
Simmons,
offense around him.
if you think for 5 seconds, Ben Simmons, that an offense is being built around you on an NBA team, get right and take a seat. The only
didn't
offense
shoot
that's
the
being built
ball.
around you is a YMCA league with a bunch of preteens that are shooting with
You
their eyes
didn't
closed.
shoot the ball.
Jesus.
You just didn't shoot the ball.
Also, another article.
What you gotta do?
Worse. It gets worse. Another article. Here's the headline. Report. Sixers coach Doc Rivers offered a Giannis-type role to Ben Simmons. So help me God, you ever put Giannis and Ben Simmons in the same headline, I'm going to chuck my phone across the freaking room.
I'm sweating.
How dare you disrespect Giannis like that?
Giannis,
sorry.
I respect. And here, that's the problem with Ben Simmons. Who's going to respect you now? Like, you aren't Giannis. You aren't LeBron.
Excuse me.
You aren't even that great. I mean, the defense, yes, he does a lot of things on the floor that other players can't do that. I understand that. You're on a max contract in Philly. You play 1 year, and all of a sudden, you're going to try to force a trade because you couldn't shoot the ball, and your Philadelphia is running you out of the gym. This is where I don't understand, and maybe because, Liv, I think you would have the same mentality as me, just because I feel like we're both alpha males, and I kind of feel like we're both type A in a way. If somebody doubted me, I've had people in my life do that. I have it written in a book what their name is and what they said about me. And if I need an innovation, I just go back and I read it, and you prove them wrong, regardless of the situation.
Yeah.
All you had to do, Ben Simmons, is you had to show up in the offseason, shoot the ball, learn how to fix whatever it is that you can't hit. But instead, now you've created this entire drama, and the season's about to start.
And I said this last week. Instead, you acted like an entitled brat because you didn't get what you wanted. You weren't put on a pedestal like you thought you needed to be. Doc Rivers giving you a Giannis type role. Wake up.
Well, he was all annoyed because Jimmy Butler, when Jimmy Butler came in and he was, when they actually brought in a shooter, it was, he was all up in arms, like, oh, it's not my team.
Is this the same Giannis? Are we talking about the same Giannis that dropped a 50-piece to win the NBA championship? I don't know if Ben Simmons had 50 points all year.
Ben Simmons had one game
in 2020.
No, he had one game in December that was a stand, or maybe it was January. And I remember this game specifically because Embiid was out, and I think he had like 34 points or something. And everybody was like, this is the Ben Simmons. Without Joel Embiid, he's so much better. But in fact, Simmons is 34-34 without Joel Embiid in his career. Simmons is 144-63 with Embiid in his career. City of Philadelphia loves Joel Embiid, and we booed him off the court, and he came back and proved us wrong. Ben Simmons, I don't think he could ever. I understand. I said this last week. He can't show his face in Philadelphia, but if I were him, I would stick it to all of us and show up and be able to shoot the jumper, because I think they're going to hold out on him. I don't think they're going to do a trade.
You just explained the difference between a man and a little boy. Joel Embiid got booed, and he said, "You know what? I get paid to do this."
And then he comes back and he does this.
You know what?
Like,
it's the same
Ben
thing.
Simmons.
It's the same thing with our betting. You can chirp me all day long for my picks. I'm still getting paid by the sportsbook, baby. So hop off. It's the same thing with Joel Embiid. Let the fans boo you. You're still getting a contract worth more than probably their whole lives to do your job. Show up and do your job, prove them wrong, and make them look stupid. What Ben decided to do was get booed by fans, act like an entitled brat, and run away from the problem instead of fixing it. It's ridiculous.
So listen to this. What could Ben Simmons face in fines? This is crazy. So missed media day was $50K. Practice 1, $2,500. Practice 2, $5,000. Practice 3, $7,500. Practice 4 and beyond, $50K. Exhibition and regular season games, $227,000 per game. Regular season game 21 to 82, $300K per game. That is a lot of money, Ben Simmons, to people like, what is wrong with you? Come prove Philadelphia wrong.
It's absurd.
I talk a lot of smack about you. I know I do, but in essence, if someone was doing that to me, I'd prove them wrong. Please, for the love of God, prove somebody wrong. And then on top of it, his agent's Rich Paul, which we need to kind of talk about. So he's one of the top agents. He represents LeBron, AD, Zach LaVine, Lonzo Ball, Eric Bledsoe. He has a whole list of people in the NBA that he represents. And a big thing for him was in 2018, 2019, he was AD's agent at the time. At the time, AD had no interest in re-signing with the Pelicans, and he basically forced a trade in the middle of the season. It was a whole nightmare and disaster. But for some reason, this agent is able to do what he wants, and the players are able to kind of force these trades as opposed to in the NFL, which is a whole different, separate conversation. But just in general, it's just such a tough look. Like, and Philly fans, we're tough. I get it, but like Carson
what's
Wentz
a tougher look?
cried.
You know what's a
Ben
tougher
Simmons
look?
cried.
You want to know what's a tougher look?
What's a tougher look?
There's rumors that the Nuggets are looking at Ben Simmons. So help me God.
Listen,
Please.
But the
Please,
craziest
please,
thing is
please.
that he thinks that a fan base is going to respect him. He's
Oh my
great on
God.
defense. He's amazing on defense. I absolutely admit to that. And some of the stats he has is unreal. You cannot be that guy if you can't shoot the ball ever. That's why nobody passed you the ball at the end. And then if they did, you missed a dunk. You would dish it out. I don't understand. Can someone please in the comments explain to me if I'm wrong? Because I haven't seen one report be on Ben Simmons' side. I really haven't.
And you know what? Like at this point, he's hurting. I know you said he's hurting he's everything he's doing right now is hurting his chances of ever returning to Philly, which I don't think he's going to do, but
the jerseys are 50% everywhere.
It's hurting his chances with every team right now. Like, I don't know a single team that's looking at how he's behaving and going, we want that guy. We want the guy with the attitude problem who doesn't do his job and just wants to be handed money left and right.
This was a theory around him, though, for a while now.
I need my sucker.
It started with the Kendall Jenner issue, kind of the like, okay, he wants to be LA. He's hanging out with, that whole crew, going on vacations. Like, this is the start of your career, the prime of your career. Go play like a man and stop crying.
Grow a pair.
Take this. Seriously. Like, I would want to prove Philadelphia is so wrong because Philly absolutely loves their players. We give them heat, but like we absolutely live and die by the players. So it's so frustrating to just see him be like, yep, nope, see you. And the fans are part of the reason. Come on.
Nobody wants to deal with a crybaby, for God's sake. It's gross.
What are you going to do if you go to another team and they boo you? Are you going to cry about it?
Right, because if you keep playing the way you play, you're going to get booed, period. Sorry. I'll be the one to do it. I don't care. Do your job. Because the deal is, there's already that feeling of like, do these players make too much money? Do they get too many different things? Like, bro, do I need to tell you how much money you freaking make?
Dude, he has I think 140 something left in 4 years that he'll make. 140, like, I can't wrap my head around that amount of money. And he's just going to sit out. I actually, and this is so sad that I'm thinking like this, I want the Sixers to sit him the entire year. And I want them to lose out on the money. I want him to lose out on the money and then see if we can get somebody else next year. Because at this point, like, are we going to have the chemistry? Who are they going to bring in? I wish we never got rid of Jimmy Butler. We should have absolutely never gotten rid of him. He would have been the best shooter. It makes me sad every time I see him on the Heat. I'm like, damn, we messed that up. But yeah, all right. I feel like we are kind of going in. Erin should go on first take. I really, really should because this makes me very heated. And the other thing about being a journalist, broadcaster, whatever, me and Liv would say this right to his face. Like, this is not like I would be hiding behind a screen, like, trolling him. I think what I'm saying, everybody else has kind of agreed with.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. He
All
needs to hear
there's also some other controversies around Kyrie Irving and Bradley Beal. So now it has come out today that Mike Bass said any player who elects not to comply with local vaccination mandates will not be paid for games that he misses. So as we know, Kyrie Irving, he had made a comment about respecting his privacy. Bradley Beal has also come out and said that he is doing his research.
Listen, here's the deal. Yeah, they are entitled to their decision. I'm a big person on my body, my choice. They are entitled to their decision 100%. What it's going to boil down to, in my opinion, though, is if the league decides to make it mandatory and you choose not to get it because that is your choice, you can't boo-hoo about it because at the end of the day, I think everybody and their mom wants a season this year, and the league is going to have to do what they need to do to keep everybody safe and to keep the season up and running.
They don't want to lose money. This is
They
about
don't want to
money.
lose
They don't
money.
want
At
to
the
lose
end of
money.
the day, it's a business deal for them, 100%.
So is every player's contract, by the way.
So, and that's where I say, listen, it is absolutely your choice. Do I agree? I'm on the fence a little bit about the whole privacy issue, only because it may get to the point down the road where if a stadium says or an arena says we will not let unvaccinated players in
Which
the
some of them are.
facility,
New
some of them are
York
going
and
to do that.
California.
It's no longer private information. If you're not on
Well,
the court,
also
you're not
Kyrie
playing, who
Irving, you
will
showed
know that
up
you're not
on Zoom to media day. You weren't in person. So like there is no privacy because like
right.
it's kind of self-explanatory
So the
that you didn't
privacy
show up.
thing for me is just a little like, again, like I respect your privacy, but at the same time, like there is no privacy when it comes to this. Like we
Yeah,
are
that's
gonna
what I was
know
gonna
that you're
say.
not
It's kind of
vaccinated.
yeah.
It is what it is. So that to me is just a cop out phrase of I'm not vaccinated, so I'm gonna say that's my private information, which again, you're
Yes.
entitled to your private information, and you're also entitled to not get the vaccine if you don't want to get the vaccine. But
Mhm.
if the league and or arenas and or other teams that are playing your team decide that they want to do X, Y, and Z this year to keep their program, their franchise, their fans safe, then you're gonna have to suffer
Yeah.
consequences when you don't have the vaccine. Again, it's a business deal. They have to do what's best
Mhm.
for their business, and your coach has to do what's best for their business, and
Well, I
it
think
is
some of
what
the
it is.
situations are more so even up to the states. I mean, I know the NBA isn't requiring players to get vaccinated. So Bradley Beal, for example, isn't breaking any rules, but there are some rules that are a little hairy. For example, in New York, if you're a player, you obviously can't play or are going to miss out on money. But let's say if you're from Philadelphia and you're unvaccinated, you can play the game. So that's where some players actually who aren't vaccinated could potentially play in certain states, but the players of the actual team couldn't. So it gets real confusing. I think somebody
Little
better make
messy.
the executive decision sooner rather than later because they're going to need the 2 week period right before the first game to make sure that obviously, I guess they'd have to get the J&J, the one shot.
Right.
But I think you make a good point. Like my body, my choice, and I agree with that as well. If you don't want to get it, it's just unfortunate that in this moment, I don't really think you kind of don't have a choice if they make it mandatory, which a
Right.
lot of people, to be quite frank, don't have the choice regardless. If you have to go back into a work, if you have to go back into a school setting, again, all based upon your state. I know some states are completely different and absolutely open. I'm from Philadelphia, so we're still kind of shut down. And everywhere that I've gone recently, you got to show your vaccine card to get into a restaurant. So it really is dependent upon your city and your state. So I don't really know how the NBA is going to continue to go about this, but they better make a decision pretty quick. They've had some time
Yeah.
now to think about
No, it
how
definitely
they're going
needs
to
to
handle it.
be it definitely needs to be handled sooner rather than later, so that the players that aren't vaccinated can get vaccinated or decide that they aren't going to be
Mhm.
vaccinated and that's their decision. But like you said, it really boils down to if it becomes mandatory, figure it out. Like you've got to decide what's more important because like any job or anything you really do in life, you're gonna have to be required to do certain things, and if you can't meet those requirements, then the job's not for you. So
Mhm.
it stinks, and it's again, I'm a big like it's your body, your choice type of person. But it may get to the point where it's not an option anymore,
It's
and then
also it's affecting season win totals. Our producer Rob was telling me before the show that that was kind of a talking point that because some of these players might not play. I mean, Bradley Beal's a star, Kyrie Irving's a star, and I feel like Kyrie Irving he will put his foot down to the point where he'll just be like, "Yeah, I'm not playing this year." Like
well, this is a
that's
earth
interesting.
this is also a man that thinks the earth is flat. We won't get into that, but let's just I mean, he's got a little bit of a weird brain and it's cool.
Yeah.
Um
Let's get into
something I did want to bring up though as we're like coming up on the NBA season and we're still in the NFL season is there is a new feature in the FanDuel Sportsbook.
yes.
In the Sportsbook app, there is a new feature called Popular SGPs. If you log into the app, it should appear right on the home screen. If you hit show all, you can see even more. But in a nutshell, you're just going to see the most common slash most popular SGPs being bet on. And so it's a really cool way to make some money, cash
Yeah.
out. There was one actually that for this was it Monday night, I believe, that actually cashed. So if you rode with that one,
Love
um,
it.
it cashed out. I believe it was. Let's
New
see
fun
here.
feature.
Yeah, I know it is super cool. Oh, this one, these closing odds. This was under the new popular SGPs, the new feature on the app. It was Jones anytime touchdown score, Green Bay Packers money line, over total in points, Adams anytime touchdown score. The closing odds were plus 824. FanDuel took 5.4K bets on that specific popular SGP. And if you wrote it, you cashed out. So cool new
Love it.
feature. Make sure you head to the FanDuel Sportsbook app and check it out.
Yeah, very cool feature. Instead of kind of going through it yourself, you can see what some people are already putting together in some of the most popular legs. So it kind of makes it a little bit easier for you guys. But let's quickly get into the comment section just for the remainder of the 5 minutes. I know some people kind of putting in comments into the YouTube that I'm seeing right now relating to the Simmons and Sixers issue. Somebody saying Ben Simmons has stole the most money in the NBA history. Somebody else, League Greatness, saying Doc and Joel basically came out and said they couldn't win with him. So I think that's a lot deeper than just the fans. In fact, Doc Rivers was on First Take and he talked about this and addressed the comments. He was asked a certain question by the reporter and it came out wrong when he said, I just can't comment on that right now. He actually talked to Ben Simmons the next day and that was cleared up. And at that point, he thought everything was fine. Let's
This
see.
comment said from David GN516 says if your workplace requires a vax, your choice to do it and continue to work there or not. They can sit if they don't want to get vaxxed, but they shouldn't whine about it. I agree with that. I think it's a good statement.
It's such like it's just a tough topic. I
It
feel
is.
like
No, it
because
really
like
is.
if someone was on my team and it was one of the best players, like we know that KD was injured half of last season. The same thing was with James Harden. Like they would basically rotate one of those guys to play every night. Like what if Kyrie's not? Yeah, it's. Are you mad at them? Are you not mad at them? Because
Right.
then that one
Right.
player, and I'm blanking on
Because
his
they're
name
not
right now.
technically, some of them
Rob,
may
in my
not
ear, tell
technically.
me who it was, if you remember it, or somebody in the chat. The NBA player who lost a family member right at the beginning of COVID. Carl Anthony Towns. Carl Anthony Towns. That was the graphic that I saw today. Oh, and my producer's telling me he's actually lost 7 family members. That is terrible. So, like, I had seen a tweet that came out, like, if anybody has a question about this, ask Carl Anthony Towns. And it was very sad. It's tragic. And to anybody who's lost anybody about that.
A TCU alum, Desmond Bain, lost both of his grandparents as well. So it's affected
Terrible.
some of these players pretty personally, which is horrible. But it's one of those things where
It's
you
crazy. We're
gotta
almost up
respect
to
their
2
decision.
years with COVID, and it's affected I mean, this aside from affecting obviously millions and millions of people, but in our general space and how we cover things, it's so different than before the pandemic. Because it was just, I just felt things were, you knew all the players that were playing, it was just injuries. Now you have to factor in COVID, how many coaches are going to be out. We saw that with the Saints, they had 8 offensive line coaches, or 8, excuse me, offensive coaches out. It's crazy world.
Asymmetric Risk said, "Are we doing Wine Wednesday? I'm doing Whiskey Wednesday." Shout out to you. No, I do not have wine right now. I might go get some in a little bit when I have my pasta for dinner. Pasta that Erin doesn't eat
I
pasta.
don't eat pasta
So
and I don't eat pizza, and yeah, I
you know
can't.
what, Erin? You do a lot of weird crap, but
I
that
do
might
do
be
a
the
lot of
weirdest.
weird things. No, it
That
makes
might
me
be the
feel
weirdest.
sick. It makes me feel sick. That's why I can't eat it. I can't eat
Okay,
the gluten.
same. It
It
makes
makes
me feel sick, and I
you're
still
like,
eat it.
I'm just
I
gonna
don't
grin
care.
and bear it.
I don't care.
We should expand the show to Monday and Wednesday and make Marg Mondays because Margs are my favorite.
Ooh, I love me a good margarita. One more
My favorite.
from the Twitch comments. Motive Jag, he's asked this twice now, so I want to make sure I address it. Said, Liv, can we get your underdog pick of the week? Right
Let's
now,
go.
I
We
have
have it.
2 underdogs that I'm leaning towards in terms of like covering the spread. But Erin and I actually have a girls who bet best bet that is an underdog that we talked about
Yep.
together. So, Erin, do you want to do the honors?
Yes, underdog girls who bet best bet is the Detroit Lions. We think they're going to be able to beat the Bears. We know this is going to be a heavily bet on game just given that obviously last week was not great for the Bears. So a lot of people might be leaning towards the Lions, that line coming down, but we're going to take them as the underdog of the week. And I know there's some other picks that we kind of agree on as well. One being the Broncos money line. I know this is not an underdog pick. We're opposed to each other in the Bucs Patriots, but let's see what else. We kind of riding on some of the same things. I like the Vikings money line. I think the Vikings beat the Browns.
I do have the Lions or the Vikings at home to cover, but I do think they could pull out a win. I also have Seattle on the road up against the 49ers. I
Okay.
like the Seahawks to cover the spread there. What else
Then
do I
tomorrow,
like?
Night Football, Liv and I will be on the Instagram Live. She'll be on the Volume. I'll be on the FanDuel Sportsbook at 7:45, and we'll be talking about Thursday Night Football.
Yes.
Just a
Love
reminder.
it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, make sure if you got the
We have to give one more away,
credit.
right? I think we have one more inside credit.
Do we?
I feel like we do. I feel like we gave 3 away. So one more. One more. Let's do another one. Should we do a question?
I think we should do a question. Yes.
Okay, what should we do the question on?
Let me think.
What's another word for handle since we covered this?
Ooh.
See if anybody gets that right. That means you guys stuck with us.
I haven't had anything on Twitch yet.
I haven't had anything either. All right, maybe you guys are not paying
Someone said
attention.
money.
Yes.
Woo!
Ding, ding, ding,
Asymmetric
ding. There you
risk.
go.
Asymmetric risk. You are the winner. So drop your username, your handle for the
Yes.
sports book, and we'll make sure
Bravo.
we get you some credit, my guy.
Yeah, and then use your credit for
My
this
guy or
weekend.
girl. I
What
don't
else?
wanna
What are you
assume.
doing for the games this weekend, Liv?
Well, I'll be in West Virginia.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. Oh, I'm gonna go to the tailgate, I think, for the Eagles. But yeah. Going to a college town. Like, I'm going to Penn State Monday. I'm gonna speak to a class Monday night and then a class Tuesday morning. And I'm like, oh, I should just go up for a game. I need to
I'm
go for like the
excited.
Michigan game. You're gonna have so
I-
much fun. I'm
I
so
have
jealous.
a lot of travel anxiety, so I don't get excited about trips until I'm there. Like getting
So
there,
the
gives me
plane
so
makes you
much stress.
anxious,
It's
or
everything. It's packing. It's getting to the airport. It's getting on the plane, flying there. Like I want to snap my fingers. If I could have a superpower, it would be to snap my fingers and be at my travel destination with my bag packed.
really? See,
I hate the
traveling does
process.
not bother me. What
Oh, I
bothers
hate
me
it.
is being in a hotel alone. I get anxiety being alone. That's my
That's
only
fair.
thing.
That's fair. But I'm excited. It'll be fun. It's a good week. I get to see my brother and my nephew, who is my brother's
Exciting.
dog, and I get to go with my mom. So I'm very excited. Oh,
Love it.
someone I think Asymmetric Risk said I'm in Texas. Not sure I can sign up. Dang it.
All
Well,
right.
thanks for
Somebody,
tuning in anyway.
whoever drops your username first gets the inside
Well,
credit.
someone else said money after him
Okay, is that person
on my end.
Okay, let's see.
David GN516. Well, I don't know if he said it after we announced it though.
Someone just said I eat pasta alone. I don't even know what that means. Is that a sad thing?
I think it's probably a sad thing. Let's ask another question. The rookie QBs up against the non-rookie QBs have what record right now?
Oh, you're an OG if you actually get this right. That means you've
You
been here
really-
since the beginning of the show.
And you are tuned in. Let's see.
Come on, someone give it to us. It's like the crickets. Like somebody's looking up the stat right now. Oh, and what, Nick Malakis?
Oh, David, nope, not there yet. Close, but no cigar. My bad, big dog. Got it right. Said 0-9. You
All right.
are correct. Drop your username. Shout out to you. That's a tough one because that was early on in the show. So if you've been tuned in.
Shout out to everyone who's been tuned in and been watching us. We appreciate it. We have a lot of fun doing this, and we love interacting with you guys and kind of getting our thoughts out there, obviously in a very non-scripted way.
Yes. Yay.
Yeah.
Oh, dang it. My bad big dog says I'm from Canada, LOL. We don't
All
have
right, somebody that can bet has to answer a question.
Gosh, dang it, you guys. Come
on. Seriously.
For the love.
Gosh. All right. What is the girls' best bet of the week 4? What team did we tell you? Nick Malakis said 0-9 as well, but I don't know if that was after announced. So are you a FanDuel user? If so, please comment it below and we would give it to you.
My bad big dog again with the right answer, but you're in Canada, my guy. Can't do much for you there.
You are not in a FanDuel state. We cannot.
Dang it.
Lions, yes. Okay, Nick Malakis, are you in a FanDuel state? Because inside credit, we need your username.
But listen, shout out to those of you that can't even use FanDuel and are still tuning into this show. I love that. That makes me smile. So shout out to the people in Canada and the people in Texas. You guys rock. Shout out to you. But yes, we are taking the Lions on the money line as the underdog.
I have 2 people saying Lions. Joseph Gomez, I don't know if you are a FanDuel user. Okay, what is your username, Nick Malakis, since you just wrote it in? Also, do you notice that, and I'm not trying to call you out, Nick, but a lot of people spell FanDuel FANDAL.
Well, that's how it auto corrects, I think, because when I'm when I
Interesting.
text to speech it types it as that.
Got it,
So
got it, got it.
very
I see that
interesting.
all the time when people message me, and I'm just like, ooh,
No, I know. I think it auto corrects. I really do.
there's
Well,
an E in there.
y'all, thanks for tuning in to
Yes.
another episode. This has been episode
4.
4. My gosh,
I
episode
can't believe
4.
we've done a month of episodes. That's
It's
kind of
crazy.
wild.
We are actually going to try to snag another guest for next week, and we will tease that guest throughout the week, and we will let
Yep.
you guys know who that guest is. But thanks for hanging. Thanks for
Yeah.
joining. Thanks for the support and the love. I
Tune
love
into
this.
our IG tomorrow too.
Yes, we will be IG live tomorrow at Liv Moods at Erin Kate Dolan on everything. But tomorrow's IG live comes from the Volume Sports Instagram and the FanDuel Sportsbook Instagram. So make sure you're tuning into that, and we'll see you next week, you guys.
All right, awesome. See you next week. Later.
Bye bye.